short story by Paul McCann, The Girl with the World at Her Feet. Hannah Howard was born in a tent on the silver mines in a remote part of Victoria, Australia. She was brought up by her mother Maisie, who did her best under extreme hardships. Her father Sean spent every day searching for a fortune that was so elusive. Each day Sean would spend hours digging in the hope that he would find that miracle strike and leave the mines a rich and a wealthy man. But the days went into months, and the months dragged on with nothing to show for it all. The same old story of hard times and frequent disappointments was a miner's life. With the struggle to survive, Hannah had to quickly adapt to those in her life. There were no luxuries or comforts except for the music that she heard around the silver mines, and on winter's nights the music came blistering around the campfires of the small community of miners who worked and lived side by side. Hannah loved to listen to the music played by the Irish miners late into the night. She heard them play their jigs and their reels on the squeeze boxes and fiddles. One of the women settlers, Sally, noticed that Hannah had a love for the music, and so she taught her to do the step dancing. Hannah was just 5 years of age when she could dance with a passion rarely seen by those in the know. Interest was beginning to show by a few there, and it was hinted that she could be entered into some of the local dancing competitions, with small prize money for the winners. At night, people watched Hannah dancing like a wild gypsy around the campfire, and during the day she'd walk with her head in the air like she was queen of the silver mines. Hannah had a mysterious kind of mystique around her, and soon that became part of her performances. One evening, some of the miners had mentioned that she was good enough for the world stage. With the help of a select few, her name was put forward into the wild card selection for the World Championship heats. Hannah went through each stage, and she made the final, and she became the youngest entrant to reach the final in the Australian group of the World Step Dancing competition. Hannah was now bound for Dublin in 6 months' time to dance with the best in the world. There was one small hurdle to get over. Hannah would be looked on as a gypsy girl, and the travelling people were not permitted to enter the competition. Many of the silver mine residents knew about this issue, and so they decided to disguise her with false papers and references. When her documents were accepted, the news spread like a fever all over the silver mines. All of the miners put their finances together, whatever they had, whatever they could afford, and it was more than enough to pay for her entrance fee and for her return passage to the World Championships in Ireland. They knew that she was good enough, and they invested all that they had in her talent. The day arrived for Hannah to leave for Dublin, and she was taken to Port Melbourne on a horse and a cart. A group of well-wishers watched her as she made her way out on the ship to Ireland. She was dressed like a princess, and with the hope of the miners in her heart and their blessings at her feet, she was ready to take on the world. She was the youngest finalist ever in the World Championships, and there was a huge crowd there to watch the finals. Dancing schools from all over the world had their dancers there to perform. Hannah was the last person called to perform. She danced when she walked, and she danced when she talked, and she danced on the airs of grace. The audience were mesmerized, and many had said that her feet never touched the floor during her performance. After her performance, she had 3 standing ovations, and was soon crowned champion of the world. After she was announced the winner, and she was given the trophy, her parents, Sean and Maisie, walked on to the stage. They were dressed in their miners' clothes and proudly introduced themselves as the miners from the silver mines. Everyone there went quiet, and in the silence they informed the judges and the audience that their daughter Hannah was a gypsy girl. Nothing could be done, as Hannah had already been crowned the champion, and so it was decided that she could keep her trophy and her title. From that day on, there were no more restrictions for gypsies, and if anyone was talented enough to make the final, no barrier would be placed in their way to rob them of a chance to be the champion. Hannah had a hero's welcome when she got back to the silver mines, and she shared the prize money with everyone who had helped her. In the weeks that passed, many congratulatory telegrams were sent to her and were read out amongst the miners of the silver mines. And she was known as the girl with the world at her feet. The end.